Brian Kelly was on the SEC Coaches Teleconference on Wednesday, and he was asked the question. I think many people, including the gentleman who sits in this chair before me, Hunt Palmer, who wrote about it at LouisianaSports.net, said, no way, no how. Shouldn't play Garrett Nussmeier this weekend. If he's dealing with anything, give him a week off. Basically, I could play quarterback for LSU against Southeastern and win that football game. I don't know that that's necessarily true. Maybe so. But anyway, Brian Kelly was asked point blank on Wednesday, SEC Coaches Teleconference, will Garrett Nussmeier play against Southeastern?
Yeah, I think he needs to play, and Garrett wants to play. He's capable of playing. As I said, the torso injury slowed him up, and it slowed up, in some instances, the development of the offense, too, because we needed to be very careful with him. And we knew we had two, in particular, very, very difficult games with Clemson on the road and a charged-up Florida team. So, we dialed back practice. We dialed back what we were doing to make sure that we protected him. But he's now on the other side of it because we were able to do that. And so this week is an opportunity for him. He's doing some things in practice he hasn't done in the last month. So we're pretty excited about what he could do this weekend.
Okay. It's interesting as you start to piece together the puzzle and you look at the timeline. I shared with you my notes from fall camp. It was August the 15th. It was a Friday when media got to watch practice. Garrett Nussmeier was not throwing. Brian Kelly said load management. We now know why. The next day, he went full go at school. The following Saturday, 8/23, August 23rd, Garrett Nussmeier, media was present, did not throw. We now know why. So they were bringing him along slowly. They were letting him heal and then letting him play in the weekend. Letting him heal, not doing much in practice. As you heard Brian Kelly say, he's doing stuff in practice this week he hadn't done in a month. So that slowed the development of the offense. And listen, Garrett Nussmeier and Aaron Anderson have a great rapport. Garrett Nussmeier and Xavier Thomas, great rapport. Garrett Nussmeier and Barry Brown, Nick Anderson, obviously Bauer Sharp, different parts of the offense are new. And, of course, 5 new offensive linemen. So maybe there's something to that. And Brian Kelly just acknowledged. He just acknowledged they knew they had 2 tough games against Clemson and Florida. They had to be a little more deliberate, defense, special teams, control the clock, be a little more careful in those games. Now you got those behind you. You've got a healthier Garrett Nussmeier, and now you go into this weekend. It's also worth noting, on Monday, Brian Kelly was asked point blank, does this Garrett Nussmeier injury limit what you are able to do on Saturdays? Meaning, are you not able to stretch the field because of this injury?
No, but we don't, you're not working on it as much in practice. So, when you get your shots, you want to be able to take them, but we're not doing it a lot in practice. We're starting to pick up that pace. We started a little bit last week. We'll continue to pick it up more this week.
Here's what I would say. If Garrett Nussmeier is in any way limited, he does not need to play against Southeastern. I just don't believe that's the case. We've now seen him play in 3 games. Kelly is telling you he's doing stuff now that he hasn't been doing prior. This week, he's doing stuff he hasn't done in a month. They've been very measured with him. It feels like the worst part of it was probably in fall camp as they were building toward the Clemson game. We've seen Garrett Nussmeier be very efficient so far. And the other part of it is the same conversation we had about Whit Weeks. The thing that is just disgusting about that targeting penalty and the ejection is you go through fall camp, you go through spring ball, you go through all the off-season workouts, you go through a game week of practice, you prep for these 12 games that you get, hopefully 13, 14, 15, 16, but for the 12 games you get, and you have a finite number of those, especially in college, because it's not like the NFL where you can play for as long as someone's willing to let you play. You got 5 years to play for. And in Whit Weeks' case, is probably his last year. So a game was taken away from him. Garrett Nussmeier, you only have a finite amount of times to compete. It's his last season in Baton Rouge. He wants to go play this weekend. He's able. Let him go play. I mean, I know I'm the guy last week who sat here and stumped for Braylon Moore to take the week off because I think Braylon Moore is so critical to your success, big picture this season, that if he's in any way compromised with a high ankle sprain, get him right because I think you were going to beat Florida either way. Now, he ran out there and played. So I would say the same. If there were a chance that Garrett Nussmeier could set himself back this weekend, then I would not think the risk is worth it. But if Brian Kelly's telling you Garrett Nussmeier is now doing things he hasn't done in a month, he's closer to 100%. The time to have sat him would have been like Louisiana Tech, not this week. So I'm good with him playing. But the other thing I'll say is this. The excuses are gone. And I'll continue to repeat this, but these next 2 games, Southeastern, Ole Miss, You have an awesome opportunity. Listen, Southeastern's a pretty good defense, but they're an FCS team. They lost 24-0 to Louisiana Tech, but they had 3 sacks and 8 TFLs against Tech. So it's a home game. You got better athletes. It shouldn't matter who Southeastern has or where they line up. You are better, and if you want to go score 100, you should be able to score 100, and you need to go do that this weekend. If we come back here on Monday and LSU's unable to run the ball and they can't stretch the field, it's the same stuff, then it's like start to panic. And then you're going to go to Ole Miss a week from Saturday and play a team that just gave up 500 yards to Arkansas. Like, that's not a good defense. You should be able to move the ball and be explosive. And if you can't, then you go into your open date doing some soul searching for the second half of the season, because you have your all SEC games until Western Kentucky, and that's going to be the stretch that determines what you're playing for at the end of November. And you got to be good. So these 2 weeks, after these 2 weeks, the excuses of Nuss or play your defense and the torso injury, and you play really good teams, and you wanted to make sure that you just didn't affect your team negatively with bad decisions, like, that's all out the window after these next 2 weekends. So we'll see if the Tigers can get going. The other thing Brian Kelly did say on Wednesday that I thought was so interesting was, this is number 2, Muse, if we could. He talked about the progression, the expectation of progression of an offense throughout the season.
It has started a little bit slower than we had wanted, but internally, very bullish on where we can be. And I want to be better in November. If we're better in November than we are in September, offensively, with the kind of defense that we can play and we know that we will play, it's going to be a really good football team.
Teams are allowed to improve. Teams are allowed to improve. We had that same conversation all throughout this baseball season. I know that feels like a distant memory to some, but if we roll back the tape to February, March, how many of y'all were bitching about the bullpen? The inability to develop a third starter. Y'all know who you are. Y'all know who you are. Even with the lesson learned from 2 years prior, when everybody bitched all season about the inability to throw strikes and bullpen, by the time you get to the end of the season, LSU's winning a national championship. Teams are allowed to improve. It's a marathon. I'm willing to be patient. I'm willing to let this group of 5 offensive linemen who are learning to gel together, I'm willing to give them that opportunity to get better. And let's see how it looks this weekend and next week and as they move forward. Because if they keep improving, then yeah, you have enough explosive talent on offense to be really good. You got a 4,000-yard passer at quarterback. You got explosive playmakers everywhere. Got to put this offensive line together. Keep improving. Let those 5 play as one. Complement an elite defense and special teams unit. Yeah, you should be playing for every goal that you have at the start of the season by the time you get to November. So Nussmeier is going to run out there and play this weekend against Southeastern. I don't mind him playing against Southeastern as long as you're not risking setting him back by letting him go play this weekend. So Tigers will get out there and play Southeastern, and I'll have Garrett Nussmeier under center. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.